300%. That's how much silver has gained in Japanese yen in just 1 year. 300%. Now, before you think this is just another silver rally story, let me stop you right there. This isn't about silver going up. This is about a major world currency collapsing in real time. And the scariest part? Most people have no idea it's happening. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a chart that changes everything. A chart that exposes what's really happening to fiat currencies. A chart that proves we're witnessing the collapse of money as we know it. And if you think this is just Japan's problem, you're about to find out why you're dead wrong. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn could be the difference between protecting your wealth and losing everything. Welcome to the hidden economy, where we expose the financial truths they don't want you to see. Now let's dive into something that should be front page news but isn't. I'm going to show you a chart, just one chart. But this chart tells a story that economists don't want you to understand. Central bankers don't want you to see it, and the media definitely won't show it to you. This is the chart of silver priced in Japanese yen. And over the past 12 months, silver has gone from around 5,000 yen per ounce to over 14,953 yen per ounce. That's a 300% gain. A three-bagger. In 1 year. Now, your first reaction might be, wow, silver's doing great. And you'd be partially right. But here's what they're not telling you. Silver in US dollars has gone up about $93 per ounce. That's impressive. About 30% gain. But 300% in yen? That's not silver going up. That's the yen going down. Way down. This chart isn't showing you silver's strength. It's showing you the yen's death. Now let me explain what's really happening here, because this is where it gets absolutely critical. When you price silver in US dollars, you see a decent rally. Silver's up from around $71 to $93. Nice gains. But when you price that same silver in Japanese yen, it looks like a rocket ship. Why? Because the yen is losing purchasing power at a catastrophic rate. The yen is dying. And this chart is the X-ray showing the disease. Think about it this way. Imagine you have a measuring stick, and every month that measuring stick gets shorter. If you measure the same table with that shrinking stick, the table looks like it's getting bigger. But the table didn't change. Your measuring stick shrunk. That's what's happening with the yen. The yen is the shrinking measuring stick, silver is the table. And when you measure silver with a currency that's collapsing, silver looks like it's exploding higher. Now, before we go further, I need you to understand something crucial. Japan isn't some third world country with a banana republic currency. Japan is the third largest economy in the world. It's a G7 nation. It's supposed to be stable. It's supposed to be trustworthy. And yet, its currency has lost 67% of its purchasing power when measured against hard assets like silver. 67%. Let that sink in. If you held 1 million yen a year ago, in terms of what it could buy in silver, you now effectively have 330,000 yen. You lost 670,000 yen in purchasing power. Gone. Evaporated. But it gets worse. Way worse. Let's zoom out and look at what's been happening to the yen over the past several years. In December 2020, the yen was trading at 103 yen per US dollar. As of January 2026, it's at 159 yen per dollar. That's a 54% devaluation in just over 5 years. 54%. And during that same period, silver and yen went parabolic. This isn't coincidence. This is cause and effect. This is what currency collapse looks like in slow motion. Now, you might be wondering, why is this happening? What's causing the yen to implode like this? Let me break it down for you, because the reasons are both simple and terrifying, and they apply to every fiat currency on Earth, including the one you're holding right now. First, let's talk about Japan's monetary policy. For decades, Japan has been the poster child for ultra-loose monetary policy. They pioneered negative interest rates. They pioneered massive money printing. They pioneered yield curve control, all in an attempt to fight deflation and stimulate their economy. But here's the problem. You can't print your way to prosperity. You can only print your way to currency destruction. And that's exactly what's happening. Right now, the Bank of Japan's interest rate is 0.75%. 0.75. That's the highest it's been in 30 years, and it's still pathetically low. Compare that to the US Federal Reserve at 3.75%. Compare it to Canada at 2.25%. Compare it to the European Central Bank at 2.15%. The yen has the lowest interest rate of any major developed currency. And when interest rates are that low, nobody wants to hold that currency. Why would you? You're earning nothing. You're actually losing money when you account for inflation. And that brings us to the second problem. Inflation. Japan's inflation rate hit 3% in October 2025. That might not sound like much compared to what the US experienced, but for Japan, this is a massive deal. Japan has been fighting deflation for 30 years. They wanted inflation. They got it, but now they can't control it. And with interest rates at 0.75%, real interest rates are deeply negative. You're earning 0.75% on your yen, but prices are rising at 3%. You're losing 2.25% per year just by holding cash. And that's the official number. The real inflation rate is probably much higher. Now, here's where it gets really scary. The Bank of Japan is trapped. They can't raise interest rates significantly because if they do, their entire financial system collapses. Why? Because Japan has the highest debt to GDP ratio of any developed nation. Their debt is over 250% of GDP. 250%. If they raise interest rates to 5%, which would still be historically low, the interest payments on that debt would consume their entire government budget. They literally cannot afford to raise rates without defaulting on their debt. So what do? They keep rates low. They keep printing money, they keep devaluing the currency, and they hope the problem goes away. But it doesn't go away, it gets worse. And that 300% move in silver priced in yen is the evidence. That's the market screaming at you that the yen is dying. Let me show you another angle on this. Wage growth in Japan is at one of its highest levels in 3 decades. Wages are up over 4%. That sounds good, right? Workers are getting raises. But here's the catch. If wages are rising at 4% and the currency is devaluing faster than that, workers are actually getting poorer. They're earning more yen, but each yen buys less. It's like getting a raise on the Titanic. Sure, your paycheck is bigger, but the ship is still sinking. And then we have the political situation, which is making everything worse. Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, has announced a $137 billion spending package. $137 billion. Where's that money coming from? It's not coming from tax revenue, it's coming from more borrowing, more debt, more money printing. She's also talking about cutting taxes and increasing spending at the same time. That's the recipe for hyperinflation. That's Venezuela, that's Zimbabwe, that's Weimar Germany. Takaichi has even said publicly that a weak yen is one of the main risks to the Japanese economy. And yet, her policies are making it weaker. She wants lower interest rates, she wants more spending, she wants more stimulus. All of that creates more yen supply. And when you increase supply faster than demand, prices fall. The yen falls. And that chart we looked at earlier, that 300% move in silver, that's the result. Now, let's talk about what this means for you, even if you're not in Japan, even if you've never held a yen in your life. Because here's the thing. The yen isn't special. The yen isn't unique. The yen is just further along in the process. Every fiat currency is on the same path. Some are just moving faster than others. The US dollar, the euro, the British pound, the Canadian dollar, they're all doing the same thing. They're all being printed into oblivion. They're all losing purchasing power. They're just doing it at different speeds. Look at the US dollar. Since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, the dollar has lost over 97% of its purchasing power. 97%. A dollar today buys what 3 cents bought in 1913. And that process is accelerating. The Fed printed more dollars in 2020 and 2021 than in the entire previous history of the United States combined. More dollars were created in 2 years than in the previous 244 years. Think about that. And what happened? Inflation exploded. Prices went up. The dollar lost value, just like the yen. The difference is the US dollar is the world reserve currency. So it has more demand. More people need dollars for international trade. That demand creates a buffer. It slows down the devaluation process, but it doesn't stop it. It just delays it. And as countries like China, Russia, India, and Saudi Arabia move away from the dollar and towards gold, silver, and other currencies, that buffer is shrinking. The dollar's day of reckoning is coming. And when it comes, it's going to look like what's happening to the yen right now. Except worse. Much worse. Let me give you some perspective on just how dramatic this yen collapse is. In traditional currency markets, a 10% move is considered a massive. A 20% move is a crisis. A 50% move is a catastrophe. The yen has moved 54% against the dollar in 5 years, and 67% against silver in 1 year. This isn't normal currency fluctuation. This is currency disintegration. This is the endgame of fiat money. And here's what's even more terrifying. Most people in Japan don't realize it's happening. They see prices going up at the grocery store. They see their rent increasing. They see their utility bills climbing. But they don't connect the dots. They don't understand that it's their currency dying. They think it's inflation. They think it's corporate greed. They think it's supply chain issues. They don't realize their government is stealing their wealth through currency debasement. And that's exactly what the government wants. They want you confused. They want you blaming something else. Because if you understood what was really happening, you'd revolt. Now, let's talk about gold for a second, because gold tells the same story, just not as dramatically. Gold in yen has also gone up significantly over the past year. Not 300%, but still substantial. Gold is up about 30 to 40% in yen terms. Why isn't gold up 300% like silver? Two reasons. One, gold is more stable. It doesn't have the industrial demand volatility that silver has. Two, gold is already owned by central banks. It's already priced as money. Silver is still catching up. Silver is still undervalued relative to gold. So when currencies collapse, silver moves faster. Silver is more explosive. And that's exactly what we're seeing in this yen chart. But both metals are telling you the same thing. Paper currency is dying, hard assets are winning, and the speed at which this is happening in Japan should terrify anyone holding fiat currency anywhere in the world. Let me tell you what happens next, because this is predictable. We've seen this story play out dozens of times throughout history. Every single fiat currency that has ever existed has eventually gone to zero, every single one. The average lifespan of a fiat currency is 27 years. The yen has been around since 1871, but it's been a pure fiat currency, not backed by gold since 1971. That's 55 years. It's already lived twice as long as the average. It's on borrowed time. Here's how it plays out. First, you get slow devaluation. People don't notice it much. Prices go up a little each year. Wages go up a little. Life continues. This is the phase most currencies are in right now. Then you enter the acceleration phase. This is where Japan is now. Devaluation speeds up. Prices rise faster. People start to notice. They start to get nervous. They start looking for alternatives. They buy gold. They buy silver. They buy real estate. They buy anything that isn't paper currency. Then you hit the panic phase. This is where people lose faith in the currency entirely. They dump it as fast as they can. Prices explode. Hyperinflation sets in. The government tries to fix it by printing even more money, which makes it worse. Businesses stop accepting the currency. People resort to barter. The economy collapses. We've seen this in Germany in the 1920s. We've seen it in Zimbabwe in the 2000s. We've seen it in Venezuela in the 2010s. And we're about to see it again, maybe in Japan first, maybe in the US, maybe in Europe. But it's coming. And that 300% move in silver priced in yen, that's the early warning signal. That's the canary in the coal mine. That's the market telling you the panic phase is approaching. Now, I want to show you something else that's absolutely critical. Look at the volume on that yen-silver chart. Look at how volume has exploded in the last 6 months. That's not institutions slowly accumulating. That's panic buying. That's people in Japan waking up and realizing their currency is doomed. That's smart money getting out of yen and into real assets. And it's accelerating. Here's the thing about currency collapses. They happen slowly, then all at once. You get years of gradual decline. Then one day, boom, it's over. Overnight, your currency is worthless. And by the time most people realize what's happening, it's too late. The gold is gone. The silver is gone. The real estate is overpriced. The exit doors are jammed with people trying to escape. And if you're late, you're trapped. Let me give you a real example. In August 1923, in Germany, $1 bought 4.2 trillion marks. 4.2 trillion. 1 year earlier, $1 bought 400 marks. In just 1 year, the mark lost 99.999% of its value. People who held marks lost everything. People who held gold and silver preserved their wealth. The same thing happened in Zimbabwe. The same thing happened in Venezuela. The same thing is starting to happen in Japan. And the same thing will happen everywhere eventually. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't a bug in the fiat system. This is a feature. This is how the system is designed to work. Governments spend more than they take in through taxes. They borrow to cover the difference. They print money to pay the interest on the debt. The currency devalues. Prices go up. People demand higher wages. The government spends more. They borrow more. They print more. It's a death spiral. And there's no way out except collapse and reset. The only question is timing. How long can they keep it going? How long can they convince people that paper money has value? How long can they suppress gold and silver prices? How long can they manipulate interest rates? How long can they kick the can down the road? And the answer is, we don't know exactly. But we do know it's getting close. And Japan is showing us just how close. Let me tell you about the silver market specifically, because this ties into why silver is exploding in yen terms. The silver market is tiny. The entire above-ground silver market is worth maybe $30 billion. That's nothing. Apple is worth over $3 trillion. One company is worth 100 times the entire global silver market. There's not enough silver to satisfy demand if people wake up and start buying. And that's exactly what's starting to happen in Japan. Industrial demand for silver is at all-time highs. Solar panels need silver. Electric vehicles need silver. Electronics need silver. 5G infrastructure needs silver. AI data centers need silver. Medical devices need silver. The green energy transition that governments are pushing requires massive amounts of silver, and there isn't enough supply. Mines can't keep up. Recycling can't keep up. Inventories are at multi-decade lows. On top of that, investment demand is surging. People are buying physical silver, they're buying silver ETFs, they're buying silver mining stocks, and as more people realize what's happening to their currencies, that demand is going to explode. And when demand overwhelms supply in a tiny market, prices go vertical. That's what we're seeing in Japan, and that's what's coming everywhere else. Now, there's another factor that most people don't understand: the paper silver market. For every ounce of physical silver that exists, there are estimated to be 350 paper claims on it. 350 to 1. That means banks and institutions have sold 350 times more silver on paper than actually exists in vaults. It's fractional reserve banking applied to commodities. And as long as nobody asks for physical delivery, the system works. But the moment people start demanding physical silver, the whole thing collapses. And guess what's happening in Japan right now? Physical silver demand is skyrocketing. People aren't buying paper silver ETFs. They're buying coins. They're buying bars. They're taking possession. They're getting it out of the banking system. And that's putting enormous pressure on the physical market. Premiums are rising. Delivery times are extending. Dealers are running out of inventory. This is how a short squeeze starts. And when it really gets going, the price moves we've seen so far will look tiny. Let me connect all these dots for you, because this is where everything comes together. You have a currency, the yen, that's in terminal decline. You have a government that's making it worse with massive spending and low interest rates. You have a central bank that's trapped and can't raise rates without destroying the economy. You have inflation accelerating. You have wage growth that can't keep up with currency devaluation. You have citizens starting to panic and buy hard assets. You have a silver market that's tiny and undersupplied. And you have a paper silver market that's massively overleveraged. All of these factors are converging at the same time. And the result is that 300% move we saw in the chart. But this is just the beginning. If the yen continues to collapse at this rate, and there's no reason to think it won't, silver could go to 20,000 yen per ounce. 30,000 yen, 50,000 yen. There's no top, because the yen is going to zero. And when you divide silver's value by a currency going to zero, you get infinity. Now, I'm not saying silver is going to infinity in real terms. I'm saying the yen is dying. And when you measure silver in a dying currency, the numbers get absurd. Here's what you need to do. And I'm not giving you financial advice, I'm giving you common sense. If you live in Japan, get out of yen. Get into silver, gold, real estate, foreign currencies, anything that isn't yen. If you don't live in Japan, pay attention. Watch what's happening there, because it's coming to your country. It might take a year, it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years, but it's coming. And when it does, you want to be positioned correctly. Don't wait for the mainstream media to tell you. They won't. By the time they admit there's a problem, it's too late. Don't wait for your government to warn you. They won't. They benefit from you staying in their currency while it collapses. They benefit from you being confused and misinformed. Don't wait for your bank to tell you. They're part of the system. They profit from the system. They'll keep you in it as long as possible. You have to think for yourself. You have to look at the evidence. And the evidence is right there in that chart. Silver 300% in yen in 1 year. That's not normal. That's not a rally. That's a currency collapse. And if you're smart, you'll recognize it for what it is and act accordingly. Let me tell you a story. In 1921, in Germany, people laughed at anyone who bought gold or silver. They said the mark was strong. They said the government had everything under control. They said inflation was temporary. By 1923, those same people were burning marks for heat because the paper was worth more as fuel than as money. The people who bought gold and silver in 1921 preserved their wealth. The people who held marks lost everything. Don't be the person burning your currency for warmth. Be the person who saw it coming and got out. Now, I want to address something important. You might be thinking, okay, I see what's happening in Japan, but my currency is different. My government is more responsible. My central bank is smarter. Let me tell you something. That's what people in Japan thought. That's what people in Germany thought. That's what people in Zimbabwe thought. That's what people in Venezuela thought. Every single country that experienced hyperinflation thought they were different. They weren't. And you're not either. The US dollar is backed by nothing except faith. The euro is backed by nothing except faith. The pound is backed by nothing except faith. And faith can disappear overnight. When people lose confidence in a currency, it's over. And confidence is built on stability, fiscal responsibility, and sound monetary policy. Does that sound like any government you know? The US is $35 trillion in debt and adding $1 trillion every 100 days. The European Union is drowning in debt. China's real estate market is collapsing. Everywhere you look, the situation is the same. Too much debt, too much spending, too much money printing, and not enough productivity or growth to support it. The yen is just the first domino to fall, but once it falls, the others will follow. Because currency markets are interconnected. When one major currency collapses, it puts pressure on all the others. Money flows out of weak currencies and into strong ones. But when all currencies are weak, where does the money go? It goes into hard assets: gold, silver, real estate, commodities, art, anything that can't be printed. And that's why that silver chart in yen is so important. It's showing you where the smart money is going. It's showing you what people do when they realize their currency is dying. They buy real things, things that have intrinsic value, things that can't be created out of thin air by a central bank. Let me give you some numbers to think about. The total supply of silver above ground is estimated at around 2 billion ounces. Let's say silver is $93 per ounce in US dollar terms. That's a total market cap of about $186 billion. Now let's compare that to the amount of money that's been printed. The US alone has printed over $10 trillion since 2020. 10 trillion. If just 1% of that printed money went into silver, that would be $100 billion. That's more than half the entire market cap of silver, and that would send prices to the moon. Now imagine what happens when not just 1%, but 5%, 10%, 20% of that money tries to get into silver. There isn't enough supply. Prices would go vertical. We'd see moves that make 300% look small. We'd see silver at $200, $300, $500. Not because silver is becoming more valuable, but because paper currency is becoming worthless. And here's the kicker. Governments know this. Central banks know this. That's why they own gold. The US government owns over 8,000 tons of gold. Germany owns over 3,000 tons. China's been buying thousands of tons. Russia's been buying. India's been buying. Central banks are accumulating gold at record rates. Why? Because they know the fiat system is ending. They know paper currency is dying. And they're preparing for what comes next. They're protecting themselves. While they tell you everything is fine, you need to do the same. Protect yourself. Don't rely on the system to save you. The system is the problem. Don't rely on the government to protect you. The government is the one stealing from you through inflation. Don't rely on the banks. The banks are complicit. You need to take personal responsibility for your financial future. And that starts with understanding what's really happening. That chart of silver and yen is a warning. It's a signal. It's a roadmap showing you the future. Now, I'm not saying sell everything and put it all in silver. I'm not saying quit your job and become a doomsday prepper. I'm saying be smart, be diversified, have some gold, have some silver, have some real assets, have some cash for liquidity, have multiple currencies if possible, have skills that are valuable, have a network of people you trust. Be prepared for volatility. Be prepared for things to get worse before they get better, because they will get worse, that's guaranteed. But here's the good news. If you prepare, if you position yourself correctly, you can not only survive what's coming, you can thrive. Massive wealth transfers happen during currency crises. Wealth doesn't disappear. It just changes hands. It goes from the people who are asleep to the people who are awake, from the people holding paper to the people holding real assets, from the people who trusted the government to the people who trusted themselves. You're watching this video, which means you're awake. You're paying attention. You're thinking critically. You're ahead of 99% of people. Use that advantage. Act on it. Don't just nod your head and go back to scrolling. Actually do something. Buy an ounce of silver. Buy 10 ounces. Buy whatever you can afford. Not because I'm telling you to. Not because you think it's going to make you rich overnight, but because it's a hedge. It's insurance. It's protection against what's coming. And it's not just about making money. It's about preserving what you already have. It's about making sure that when your currency loses 50% of its value, you don't lose 50% of your wealth. It's about making sure you can still feed your family, still pay your bills, still have options. That's what this is really about. Survival, sovereignty, freedom. That 300% move in silver priced in yen is the universe screaming at you. Pay attention. Wake up. The rules are changing. The game is ending. And if you're still playing by the old rules when the music stops, you're going to be left standing with worthless paper in your hands. I started this video by showing you a chart. One simple chart. Silver priced in Japanese yen. 300% gain in 1 year. But that chart isn't just numbers and lines. It's a story. It's a warning. It's a prophecy. It's showing you the future of every fiat currency on Earth. Some will fall faster. Some will fall slower. But they will all fall. Because they're all based on the same lie. The lie that you can print money forever without consequences. The lie that debt doesn't matter. The lie that governments can manage economies. The lie that paper has value. And when those lies are finally exposed, when the illusion finally breaks, the people holding real assets will be okay. The people holding paper will not. It's that simple. So ask yourself, which group do you want to be in? Do you want to be the person who saw it coming and prepared? Or the person who ignored the warnings and suffered the consequences? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. And once the collapse accelerates, there won't be time to prepare. There won't be silver available. There won't be gold available. There won't be escape routes. The exits will be blocked, and you'll be trapped. Don't let that happen to you. Take this seriously. Do your own research. Look Look at the charts, look at the numbers, look at the history, and then make a decision. A real decision, not a decision to think about it later, not a decision to wait and see, a decision to act now, today. Thank you for watching The Hidden Economy. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to see this. The more people who understand what's happening, the better prepared we all are. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Because what's happening in Japan is just the beginning, and I'll be here to break it down for you every step of the way. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you prepared for what's coming? Do you own silver? Do you own gold? Or are you still holding paper and hoping for the best? I read every comment and I want to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay informed, stay prepared, and protect your wealth. The collapse is here. The question is, are you ready?